In a world that seems like 2014 merch is near impossible to obtain thanks to the fact that NECA is no longer producing Godzilla figures and SH Monster Arts refuses to put out another 2014 unless if it's another MonsterVerse evolved in the 15th billion 2019 sculpt we've seen. Here comes HIYA to fill in those shoes to actually give us a 6-inch Godzilla 2014 action figure. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is Matthew, and today we're taking a review, a little look-see, at the HIYA Toys Exquisite Basic Godzilla 2014. Yes, as you can tell, we're back in the what I like to refer to as the shack, because, well, that's basically what this is. Um, as a whole, this is going to be a different take on this review because this is my newest acquisition. Basically, I got this guy on June 29th, which I'm recording this on July 3rd. I think today is that. Yeah, I think it's July 3rd. Anyway, yeah. So basically, I'm going to be doing all the same steps as per usual. Skull to paint, articulation, and size and stuff. And because I'm away from my setup, still, yes, I've been kind of not on the run, but like on the move recently. I haven't been moving. I've just been a little all over the place from family to family. It's complex stuff. I wish I could share more details with you, but I can't because it is private and I'd rather just keep it like that. So maybe I don't even wish I want. Anyway, but all you just need to know is that it's just unforeseen circumstances. Anywho, today we're going to be, take a look at this guy, which, I recently got, just, as like a little something for the 9th anniversary of T.O.S.G, so it's just like, I deserve something, I want something in my collection that reminds me of T.O.S.G. I originally actually was going to go for the Godzilla Evolved or Shimo, but unfortunately my local collectible store did not have any, but I looked and they did have this. They did have the stylish Godzilla Evolved, but that's a statue. I like statues, but I love action figures. So if you're going to offer me either or, I'm going to get the action figure, not the statue. No harm on HIYA's part. Just saying, HIYA, you do a very good job. I only have one of your figures to date, not counting this guy, which is the Hate Ray Spitfire Godzilla 2021 from Godzilla vs. Kong, and I did like a billion videos on that, so I don't really need to do another. Anyway, I think that's enough blabbering. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Godzilla that started it all from the MonsterVerse, Godzilla 2014. First things first is we're going to start with the sculpt and paint for the head. And as you can tell by the head sculpt, they actually stayed very close to his actual in-model movie incarnation. It's not 100% as we'll talk about, but it's very close. For the eyes are actually very well interesting because you can still see it has the pupil kind of like looking forward, and if you actually like look at it from this side, it does look a little goofy, but it's okay. But what's fun about the pupils is that they're actually glowing. Yeah, you can kind of see that it's a bit more like, well, it looks like it's glowing. There's like a bit of blue highlights around the eye, and it almost looks like he's about to charge up his beam, which I'm trying to recall, did 2014 actually glow his eyes? I think he did. It was very dimly lit, but you get it. So in a way, it's almost like a teaser for what will come later. It's 2014 Spitfire. But for the actual like sculpt and paint, beautiful. Plain beautiful. The texture is so damn realistic. This is honestly what a 2014 figure should be like. Every one of them going forward. Come on, HIYA. Continue frying up. I love your work. That said, I will say that the sides of the face also continue the very well sculpted paint. Because keep in mind, 2014 has a very boxy looking head, as you can tell. And it definitely has a very much chiseled jawline, as you can see. Bro's been mogging a whole lot. But at the same time, it also has a very nice kind of like dry brush and wash effect. Because you get a bit of brown here, a bit of brown onto the side, and then at the front, where the nostrils are and the nose, you actually get a bit more like that sandy type color. It definitely looks a little odd, I'll say, because like, I didn't actually see it until like I really like put this guy into some intense lighting. But that said, going to the teeth, we actually have them not necessarily individually sculpted because the MonsterVerse Godzilla never really had the biggest teeth. Even in Evolved Goji, it still like wasn't all that big. But the teeth for what they are, I'd say they're pretty well done. I will say the color like variation is very well done as far as like they applied the paint like more towards the teeth where there's like lighter colors and then the in gap where there's a bit more darker. The bottom jaw, I'll admit, is a bit on the more soft side because it is kind of like one strip of paint, albeit with a little bit of colorization. So I do like the color choices they did with the teeth. But I definitely think they could have maybe done a little bit better with them. I mean, something like maybe I don't want to compare it just yet, but I'm going to bring it in anyway. The Mechagodzilla had a little bit more like bigger teeth to accommodate that look. But I guess at that point you lose accuracy, iffy. Anyway, for the mouth, we actually do have a little bit of detail. The bottom of the jaw here has a little bit of like gums, and it kind of like it almost looks like an outline for the tongue. I think that's actually what it's supposed to be. And speaking of the tongue itself, it's kind of like free floating in there. It like raises up and goes down, as we'll talk about in articulation. Below the tongue, we actually have some black spray, which actually I think that's just the color plastic, and they just missed the paint. Oh well. And then we actually have at the top of the mouth some more of that detail work. And I will say the membranes, I do like the way they look here. If I did have one gripe with it, I kind of wish there was more like variation with the pink paint. Like maybe a darker pink for the tongue. Even though that black does kind of give that illusion. It's obvious that they missed it. But again, that's just a mild criticism. For the neck, here's what I'll say. It definitely retains the segmented look that a lot of other HIYA Godzillas are known for. And they do a very well job at hiding the gaps and making it look seamless. And I will say from this side as well, they actually do have a lot of nice wash and like brown effects as well. If you're wondering, the fins are going to be made of like a rubber material this time around. And for the neck detail, it just looks so well done with all the like nice segmenting. Like, look at that. Also, I just noticed there's a bit of like bleach with the like more pink salmon type color. And the gills, they're actually pretty well defined. I will admit that maybe like the last three gills on both sides got a little more of the heavy handing when it comes to like the sandy color, because I imagine that it'd be a darker color as opposed to a more lighter one, but at least it makes them pop more. So you get like the little frills on the neck. So that's fun. Let's actually go to the chest. Let's just talk about the chest. A bit more of like rough, sandy, peach type color. It definitely looks very dirty and very well done. I had a criticism with the GVK figure that I had when it came to like the transition between the shoulders and the shoulders and the chest itself, that the colorization just looked like he's wearing a vest. Sadly, that is the same here. The peach is very well thickened and doesn't do a very good job when it comes to transitioning it. Even when you like try to segment everything, it just kind of cuts off and it just looks it just looks, again, like he's wearing a vest. Although the detail work is very well done. You do get the pecs making a return, the little scales, which the dirtiness kind of goes a little overboard off to the side because it almost looks like it kind of goes back further than it should be. Like, I'd say maybe cut it off right here, but it does kind of go over here. Same with this side, kind of cut it off, but it tends to bleed out to the sides. So it does look a little iffy, but the detail work absolutely looks phenomenal. Now, for the arms, they actually feature a bit of a more green bluish wash, which is actually really well done. I do like the detail work we have with all the little like square segments all overlapping each other and the arm just looking very well done. This side, of course, features the more sandy type colorization with it actually in the palm, as opposed to other 2014 figures out there that completely skip over that detail. As for the claws themselves, I mean, they're not like horribly sharp, but I mean, does give you a good back scratcher. I don't know, just extend Godzilla's arm and then just like reach down there with the tail and you just go, there you go. Anyway, I do have some issues with mine. For one, it's a bit more minor, but you can see that there's a bit of excess plastic. Like, and I think that there's some more around the arm. I'm trying to remember where it was, but it's on one of the arms that like it has. Oh, there you go. As you can see, there's stuff there and there. Of course, that's maybe just because, like, obviously this is just my unit. It's not going to be like, say, if you come across the HIYA 2014 for retail, it's not going to be like that, but that is kind of a bummer. I mean, I could easily just take a sander and, like, file that down, so it's really no biggie. For the legs, actually, you know what? Let's talk about the dorsal plates, not the legs. The dorsal plates. Beautiful. This is honestly what 2014 dorsal plates should look like. They're very well detailed, very well shaped, and I love the look of them. They actually have some wash in there, which is so good. And going to this side as well, you can just see the amount of detail that HIYA packed into these fins. They are actually a bit pointy, at least these ones. This one's a bit more blunt, and then this one's just like pure rubber. But at the same time, they are still, again, made of a more flexible plastic. It's a little hardened. It's kind of hard to really describe, but you'll get it once you understand. Anyway, for the legs, we actually have, like, at the hips a bit more, like, backwash and dry brushing here to give out more, like, that really nice effect. And then down to the legs where the kind of bluish green tint makes a return, and then you have more yellow accents, which is really cool to see, which really tells you that this Godzilla went down and dirty with the Mutos, if you know what I'm saying. And you get all this amazing detail with the kneecaps, and again, like, the more rectangular scales are just on full sight here. Of course, we have Godzilla's crotch and his non-existent privates, and of course, you have all this amazing detail work down to the feet, which about the feet, they aren't necessarily movie accurate because this is what the KOTM fins look. Sorry, these are fins. These are claws. You idiot. You got this wrong in the unboxing. Stupid. Anyway, this is what the claws from the KOTM post fins look like. Claws. This is what the KOTM claws look like, where they're more spread out versus them clumped together, and they looked more like elephant feet, not necessarily a traditional Godzilla feet. Now, granted, I don't think that this was HIYA's fault. I think that this was more Legendary's doing, because when they changed the model from 2014 to 2019, my guess is that they probably tried to archive it, but had to use some parts from the KOTM Godzilla. And as a result, boom, stuff like this happens. Or it could just be an aftershock goji. Anyway, but yeah, we have that peach kind of make a return at the back. Here's the bottom of the feet where we have HIYA, China, and then we have Legendary, Godzilla, Copper Toho. I wonder why the text is so stretched. I wonder why. But I do like the colorization, how they like kind of mirror each other. And finally, the tail. It is actually a decently long tail. It's not like a super, like, oh my gosh, look at how long this goes tail. It's a serviceable tail, with each of the segments individually sculpted, and of course the dorsal plates looking absolutely phenomenal, with the dry brush going underneath. Just give you more like that sandy type look, especially when it kind of gets a bit more segmenty down here. And then kind of going up. And if I did have one thing to kind of like point out, it's that the tip of my tail is actually a bit bent down and curved to the right. I don't know if this is supposed to be like that, if this is intentional, But mine did come like this, and I don't really know if it's supposed to be like that. Maybe it's supposed to be just completely straightened, and mine just got warped in its box. I mean, hey, anything can happen in this day and age of action figures. So, as one final look off for this thing, here he is from the side, from the top. Let's try that. There you go. From the bottom, from this side as well, front, and hitting my table, back. Anyway, I meant my tripod, by the way. For the sculpt and paint, I think it's safe to say that HIYA did a very well job at capturing the 2014 aesthetic. It's very, very well done. I love the sculpt work. I think the sculpt itself, I really don't have any problems with. I mean, accuracy be damned on the feet. I mean, that's kind of very minor. It doesn't like, oh my gosh, it takes away from the figure. How will I enjoy my Exquisite Basic 2014 without those accurate feet? Just stick with the NECA if you want the feet. Anyway, making such a big deal about feet. Maybe one of it. Anyway, with that said, the paint is kind of where I have a bit of a problem, because some parts of the figure are very well painted. The actual charcoal base body, perfect practically. Eyes, neat addition with those glowing eyes. The teeth are done a little bit soft, and the gills are a bit heavy-handed. The chest, well done very well with its peach and kind of like sandy undertones. It does look a little bit more like a vest this time around. And I'll personally admit, that's basically all I have wrong with it, but I am going to doctor some points off of that. So for the sculpt and paint, I'm going to have to give it somewhere between an 8.5 and a 9. I'm going to say 8.7. Actually, 8.8. There you go. We're going to do a different score that time. 8.8. Articulation time. And what do we get? Well, let's see how well Godzilla moves. For the actual jaw, we have a hinge, which we can go about that far out, this far in. For the tongue, we actually have a hinge, which we can go in about that far. And you can actually close it to raise the tongue back up, which as far as how high you can raise it, I think that's about it. I don't want to push it too much. So you can actually use the jaw to kind of like angle it. However, I do have a bit of a quality control issue on my jaw, and that is when you extend it, it actually pops out of its hinge. And I actually just simply took my finger. Yeah. I don't know if you guys can properly see that. Let's actually get a good look at that. There you go. I think it's shift cameras because I actually have multiple. The hinge, it's a bit damaged. Like, it kind of forms like a perfect circle, and then it like kind of dents itself. You can kind of see that. I'm trying to actually get a good look at that. So yeah, there's the inner workings of a HIYA Godzilla 2014 hinge, if that's what you were looking for some odd reason. So let's kind of get this back all in the frame. There you go. A little bit more. There you go. Anyway, so there's a quality control issue on my jaw. So, for the head, for the actual head itself, we don't get a whole lot of range. You can get some twists and turns like this. I think you can go a full 360. Let's try that. There you go. Go mildly up and down and a little left and right. But, of course, that's meant to be paired with the actual neck, which together you can actually, the neck kind of more acts as like a shifting to various degrees. And all of these three pieces, 1, 2, and 3, are free-floating. And essentially how this works is, if anyone owns the any of the other HIYA, or maybe the NECA 94 Godzillas, you know where this is going, where there's actually a neck piece, or a ball peg, starting from the neck, works all the way through these neck pieces and plugs right into the head. So essentially, all of these free-floating pieces are meant to hide that big peg. And because of that, oh crap, I'm kicking over my freaking tripod, we actually can get some very neat poses, which you can actually just take them and like kind of cover up the gaps and kind of work with it. So it requires a lot more patience. So if you want to like rear it up, you can. Although do keep in mind that the rubber fins will kind of grind up against these back plates and potentially kind of causing some problems. So I'd recommend actually turning them a little bit more towards these gaps in between the plates and then kind of like shifting it upward if you want the full like maximum effect. So working together, you can get some really nice poses that'll look seamless, as you can see here. But of course, that is for the head. For the shoulders, we can go a little out to the side like this, close in, and go a full 360 degrees with this baby. For the bicep, which there is actually bicep swivel, I'm willing to bet that that's a ball joint, but really the most I can get out of it is a swivel. For the elbow, which I think is actually just a ball joint, you can actually get a fair amount of movement with it. I don't think that there's actually like, you might say, well, what about an elbow hinge? I don't think there is an elbow hinge for some reason. I guess because like Godzilla 2014 doesn't really bend his arms that much. Well, I mean, he keeps his arms bent, but he doesn't really bend them out that much because they're always like to the side like this, and he mainly twists his arms. So maybe that's why, but like, I'm not seeing a hinge in there. Unless that is one. Anyway, before I break it, the wrist is actually on a ball peg, so you can actually go a full 360 with it. Go forward, back, twist, and lean like that. Not the purple lane. For the waist, we can go a little bit down like this. I keep feeling like I'm going to just peel that right off. And go up and down, just like that. Little side to side. Swivel back and forth, just like that. For the hips, we can go out to the side like that, into the side like that. We're gonna raise the arm up. We can go, I think, almost the full 360. I think maybe a bit past it if you really want to push it. There you go. I would not recommend that because you could grind up against the sculpt and the paint itself. So let's put that arm into place. For the elbows, we do get a bit of like bendage, mainly like with this knee and this knee, like the knee joints working together in conjunction. So you can get actually a really good bend, straighten out about like this much. So you do get quite a bit of range, maybe a little side to side. Actually, no, you can get a little swivel. And of course the ball joint at the foot, which is practically non-existent on mine. Maybe you just got to work it. Also, I think I forgot to point that out. There's a bit of like, but my score doesn't really change. And for the tail, individually ball joints. I'm not sure how much ball joints there are, but you do get a very, very wide range of movement. The base of the tail is not that posable, but it's mainly like towards here onward that you actually get like the full treatment. And you go down, whip it up if you want to. I wish I can go a little bit higher. Kind of wish that. But of course, all of them can swivel to your heart's content. And yeah, that basically sums up the articulation. So, in my personal opinion, articulation-wise, this is basically near damn perfect. If I had a bit of criticisms, well, that jaw hinge is definitely a bit of a bug. This isn't a video game. It's a defect on mine, and sadly, I am gonna have to doctor some point off that. I will say that I like the way that the tongue is done. Don't have any complaints about the head. Not really any complaints about the shoulders nor wrists. It's the elbows that I kind of wish had a hinge just to allow for like better movement. I mean, unless if I'm just doing something wrong with mine, because for the life of me, I can't really actually know. You can get a bit of a bend, but like it's so freaking tight. I think I forgot to mention that. Anyway, so I kind of wish there was a bit more range with the elbow, because sometimes it almost feels like I'm about to break this thing. And yeah, I don't really have anything else to really say. So Articulation gets an 8.5 just because of that jaw, maybe a bit more freed up with the elbows, and I will say maybe a bit with the waist, a little bit. So aside from that, everything is near perfect. Next up is accessories, and well, this is awkward. There's none. No beam, no tanks, no building, nothing. Just kidding, there is accessories, and of which he comes with alternate fists. Yes, clenched fists for Godzilla. Who would have thought? Anyway, essentially they're going to be identical sculpts to the more relaxed open hands, but this is like, oh, ow. What the hell? He actually freaking scratched me. Kind of can't see that, but damn. You sure Godzilla's figures can't get rabies? Anyway, that aside, here's a better look at the hands. Trying to show as much as I can without it being blocked by my finger. So yeah, they have a bit of a spray. So to attach it, basically you take the corresponding hand, and you just simply pop it off. Now, I didn't really have a problem popping it off, but if you do, just use a blow dryer. I would not recommend hot water, because with a blow dryer, you can actually control where the heat goes. And anyway, again, use a blow dryer. Trying to actually apply some pressure there. You really kind of like gotta put some force. Don't use like excessive amount of force. Just put like reasonable force. Come on, I had it like earlier. There you go. Okay, I think I got it in. No, I didn't. I don't actually have a blow dryer on my person, so I mean, I don't really have hair anymore, so I've shaved it off. Anyway, there you go. This is the HIYA 2014. Oh, God. There you go. Okay, so here's the fist. I don't think I actually had it in all the way. But yeah, that's what it looks like. So again, just to like detach it. I want to make sure I wasn't like twisting the peg itself, because for a second I thought that's actually what I was doing. So essentially you can get your Godzilla like beating the crap out of the female Muto, which HIYA did make a female Muto. I'm going to get that. Anyway, so for accessories, I think that the alternate fists are really well done, and at least this Godzilla comes with something. There is gaps in there, so I wonder if this Godzilla was supposed to like come with anything. HIYA, can we get like a decapitated female Muto head, please? Like, that would literally be, like, imagine this, okay? I'm pitching something to you guys. Battle damage 2014. Scarred up, bloodied, bruised, maybe illuminating dorsal plates, and an atomic breath piece small enough to fit into the female Muto's mouth, and you can actually engineer it so it's, like, in there. Anyway, that's just my personal pitch. Anywho, for the accessories we do get with standard 2014, I like them. I don't really have any gripes about them, so, I mean, technically speaking, they're perfect. 10 out of 10. And for the first and only size comparison of this video, because again, I'm waiting for my setup, but when we do the comparisons, I'll promise to feature more. Here we have the Mechagodzilla 2014. Now, longtime viewers of the channel know this guy from things like the Angry Birds Godzilla show, which, by the way, thanks for 9 years. Things like my various Godzilla figure reviews and skits and whatnot. This guy was the fourth ever, especially this figure in particular, because I actually have two of them, the reissue and this guy. This guy has been through it all. He has been almost since the very beginning, and yeah. That said, he might be a veteran. He might stand on his own 2 feet, still to this day, very lucid feet. But I think quality on quality, I prefer the HIYA over the NECA. I know, surprising, right? Yeah, essentially, I like to consider this like 4K versus 720, if that makes any sense, like, as far as quality is concerned, because don't get me wrong, 720, it's great. You know, it's still, you can see what's happening, you can still see the video itself, but when it's in 4K, it just looks so much better. That said, listen, I'm always going to love this figure. I'm always going to love it. I think I have a nostalgic soft spot for the Mechagodzilla 2014. Time and time again, I've said it was my favorite figure in the collection, though I don't really stand by that anymore. I think I have other favorites, but it's still really good on its own accords. But that said, the HIYA just does a lot of things better. It has the better sculpt. It debatably has the better paint. It has, I would say, close to of the same, if not a little better of articulation. It actually comes with accessories, whereas this guy for 6 years straight never did. Now, again, the 2014 figure is outdated, sure, but it's still very good. Anyways, I think it's time to end off this video. So, overall, for the HIYA Godzilla 2014 Exquisite Basic version, I think that this guy is awesome. He's really, really damn good. Is he perfect? No. Much like any other figure is, no. He has a very well done sculpt. I really don't have any issues with the sculpt, say except for the teeth. The paint I have a bit of issues with, but still really done well for the most part. And the articulation is fun and expressive, and you can put him in a lot of cool poses. It's just the jaw and mine and the elbows I wish had a little bit more range. That said, and the accessories also are a fine, pretty neat addition. So for my final score, I'm going to rate the HIYA Toys Godzilla 2014 a 9 out of 10. A near perfect figure, and I really recommend this to anyone who wants like another 2014 figure. If you don't want to shelve out maybe the money for this guy, which funny enough, this guy's available on Toy Snowman. I think for like $69.99 Canadian, which translates to about $50-$55 American. I don't know. It's been a while. Anyway, that said, that's all I've got for this video. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'm going to be pumping out, because by the time this video goes up, I'm already back in my home setup, and I'm going to be cranking out a lot more Godzilla, King Kong, and whole other video repertoire you see on the channel. I'm a variety content creator by nature. Anyways, stick around for the comparison, and as for the next season of the Amber's Godzilla show, you already know, but see you in Rio. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out, everyone.